This Pitch Breakfast video is brought to you by Spangler and Agans, attorneys for Charlotte's startup community.
Good morning. I'm Raghav Badigar, founder of SkilRoute or SkilRoute, depending on which side of the pond you're from. So when I say online learning or online education, what are the kind of topics you think of that come to your mind? Math, science, history, programming. Thank you for all the people who nodded. And that's been the case with online learning, and it's booming, it's taking off big time. But does anyone think of learning, say, how to sculpt online, or arts and crafts, or engineering, or sports? So that's what we're doing. Some of you might have tried doing it online using YouTube or regular videos. Those just don't work. And we found that there's a significant difference between how you learn a lecture-based content like math or science and instruction or observation-based skills like music, sports, anything which is hands-on, tactile skills. So SkilRoute is an end-to-end platform for tactile skills. So we developed a specialized technology for you to learn those skills online, just like how you would do in person or face-to-face. We brought the same visual freedom that you would get in face-to-face. And later, I'd love to show you the demo and get your feedback. So who do we target? We work with instructors and academies. In fact, last week, we signed the largest private music school from South Carolina, and we have all their instructors coming and teaching online. And we also work with companies, manufacturing and medical devices companies. Initially, we started with education, but we started getting a lot of demand from companies for manufacturing and training and medical device training. And open to questions to tell you more about it.
Thank you. Hi, Thomas, what do you think? I think you did a great job starting us out. I think it's always important to have a good level of energy in a 2-minute pitch. I think you kind of fizzle down a little towards the end. I think usually having a good structure to make sure that you're going to cover all the aspects. I got the feeling that you didn't know that you needed to cover certain things I think would have been useful to cover. So my recommendation would be to make sure that you're covering some of the broader set of fundamental aspects of a company. But I mean, again, I think the most important thing is the beginning. I think when it comes to what you said, it was a little unclear to me how you actually do what you do. You got me interested. You introduced the whole concept in a very good way, but the fact that you're not the teachers, sounds like you're working on a technology, just left me curious, but really puzzled about the fact that I had no clue how this works. Then 2 other things. I think it's important to, when you're dealing with something like this, which is, online learning is pretty crowded, it's busy, it's confusing because there's so many people doing it. You definitely need to talk about your uniqueness, and you did, but I would go a little deeper into that uniqueness and differentiation. And also how, keeping in mind your audience, what do I want to hear, which is, how do you make money, how do I make money as an investor? Just those 2 things.
I'd agree with what Lister said. I think great energy, the intro was good, it was pretty easy to grasp at a high level what you're doing. I would say a couple things that would have been good to hear or important to convey, and one of them, and the earlier you are, the harder this is to do, and that is momentum is incredibly important. And we have learned as investors and as people who have to raise money ourselves, momentum is a huge deal, whether you like it or not. And so you want to try and convey to us that your business has a sense of momentum. I got a little bit of that at the end when you mentioned the music school from South Carolina. And so, I think consciously or subconsciously, you were thinking along those lines perhaps a little bit, which is good. And as Lister said, when you've got investors as part of your audience, you certainly want to give us some sense of how do you make money? How does the business itself actually work? And not just what's the service or product you're conveying. And then lastly, I think the one thing that we always like to recommend that someone who's giving a 2-minute pitch make sure they work in is have an ask. You should end it with an ask. And that ask isn't always, I'm looking for X dollars. It could be, I'm looking for customers, I'm looking for great programmers, I'm looking for whatever. Just some way that you're looking for more than just feedback on, cool, right? But overall, I think you, as Lister said, the most important thing is you got us thinking enough that we have questions we would want to come up to you and ask, and that's the main point.
I'm a lot like them. Yeah, I think that, you're a good presenter, smart guy, funny little language joke, it was good. I like that you're selling to businesses, not consumers. You didn't say a single number in your talk. Like ordinarily, if you're talking to somebody that you want to raise money from, if you you raise money, like if you can say a number or two, that feels way more objective, right? And way easier to grab onto. And that's what people talk about, like after you're gone. Like if you're an early stage company and you come talk to an investor, after the fact, when you leave the room, what they'll talk about is they'll talk about your numbers, right? And so do you have any customers?
Yes, we have pilot customers. We have 7 enterprise customers, which is mainly manufacturing and medical device companies, right. And we are working on the instructors and academies. We have about 65 of them.
See, that's pretty good. I would go with that. And how do you charge money?
So
to whom do you charge money?
We charge the academies or the institutions or the companies. We have 2 ways. One is subscriptions for the platform, because we don't create the content, right. And then we do the revenue share with the instructor.
Right. Cool. See, that little 30-second dialogue that we had, I would move that into the core, and then you only had 2 minutes or whatever, but I would move that into the core thing. Yeah? Cool. Good. But it was good. Yeah?
Could you tell us how this works? Because I'm still confused in terms of how your technology, it sounds really interesting, and the way you presented the premise is really cool. I think you created some separation between the more traditional online, and you're talking about the fact that skill intensive learning requires a different type of learning, and where your technology is important, but I have no clue how this works or how you're working with teachers.
Okay, so that's one of the things, one of the main reasons I want to do this is unless I show what's going on, it's very difficult to communicate. So
you have to be able to figure out a way to do it. Right.
That's hopefully I'll be able to do that,
right.
Based on the feedback today. Right. So, but the fundamental difference before what we do is I'm speaking, I'm talking about something. At any given point of time, everyone is listening to the same thing that I'm saying, right? So that's, like lectures. But if I'm, say, showing how to play guitar or drums, you may be looking at my left hand, he may be looking at my right hand, or different people will be observing different things at any given point of time. So that's the fundamental difference between how you learn by listening, cognitive, than observation and visual kind of thing. So what we created is a kind of a multi-dimensional for 2D screens. You get to pick and choose your views that you're viewing. So if right now what happens on YouTube is someone puts up a video of a guitar or playing, right. The instructor has decided the view for all of you, right? But in our case, you get to pick and choose whichever you want, and there are always times saying you can view different angles, notes, music notes, audio, and then multiple languages, so that or you can flip it left and right if you're opposite-handed, all those kind of things. And they're available for regular screens. And then down the line, we'll go into wearables and augmented reality kind of thing. So the idea is to give the visual freedom to the user and, and not so much the instructors.
So the teacher, it sounds like this instruction needs a special setup.
So that's the other part we fixed, is it's basically zero cost and almost zero tech savviness from the instructor side to create our content. So our app uses regular cameras and Bluetooth, Wi-Fi cameras, and you'll be able to create it pretty much just using your app. You don't need special hardware, software. editing skills, none of those. Thank you.
Rocket Madiger, ladies and gentlemen, SkilRoute.